Okay, so today we're going to deep dive into something that's probably happened to most of us at one point or another.
Yeah.
And it can really sting
Yeah, it can be rough.
when your friends start a new group chat and
And it don't include you.
yeah, and they don't include you.
It's like, what's going on here?
It's like, hello, what do I, chopped liver?
Right.
So we're gonna deep dive into this whole idea of, feeling left out when friends create a new group chat without you.
Yeah, because we've all been there.
We have been there.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like that moment where you realize everybody's talking and you're not part of the conversation.
Yeah, and it's like one of those things that's so small, but it can feel so big.
It feels huge, right? It's
Yeah.
like all of a sudden you're questioning everything.
All the friendships.
Yeah, am I even friends with these people?
Yeah.
It's such a small thing, but it can really trigger those like deep-seated feelings of
fun, no.
not belonging.
Yeah, and so much of our world now is online in these digital spaces.
Oh, yeah.
So like these group chats are like where a lot of communication is happening.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it makes sense that it feels like a big deal when you're not in the loop.
It's like you're missing out on this whole other level of connection.
Totally. Yeah.
And it's not just about the information. It's about like
the inside jokes.
the inside jokes, the shared experiences, like that feeling of being in the know.
Yeah.
And when you're not there,
That's isolating.
It's really isolating.
Yeah. So I think the first thing is like, how do we even approach this?
Right.
Like, what do we even do?
So the first thing our sources are all talking about
Yeah.
is communicating, honestly.
Which is like
Easier said than done.
so much easier said than done.
Right, because like you said, it can feel so
That's the
awkward,
way I say it.
embarrassing.
Yeah.
Like who wants to be the person that's like, hey, why wasn't I invited to the party?
Yeah.
But at the same time, like if you don't say anything,
Just going to keep eating at you.
it's just going to eat at you.
Yeah.
And those resentments are going to build, and then you're going to start acting weird.
Or you're going to be passive aggressive.
If passive aggressive.
Avoid them.
Yeah, so much better to just like
Rip the Band-Aid off.
rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah.
But how do you do that in a way that's not like,
Confrontation.
yeah, not confrontational? So
Yeah.
what the sources are suggesting is like you want to approach it with a balance of directness,
Okay.
but also sensitivity. So instead of like, bursting into the next hangout and being like, what's the deal? Why wasn't I invited?
Right.
Try something a little bit more like, hey, I've noticed there's this new group chat going around and I felt a little left out.
Yeah.
Not being included is a reason for that?
Yeah. I love that framing because it's like
Curious.
curious. It's not accusatory.
It's not like you guys are jerks. Why'd you leave me out?
Yeah. It's like, oh, I'm just wondering. I noticed this.
I'm curious.
Yeah.
Is there something?
Is there a reason? And like, I remember in college, I had something like this happen and I was so embarrassed. I was so hurt.
Yeah.
And I like completely avoided the friends for weeks
Oh, no.
because I just couldn't deal.
Yeah.
But looking back, I realized that like
Talking about it would have been so much better.
open communication would have been so much better.
So much better.
Yeah.
Because like you said, you just let those feelings fester.
Yeah, you're just stewing in it.
You're stewing in it and then it just comes out in other ways.
Passive aggression.
Totally.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, statements are really key here
Okay.
because it helps you express your feelings without sounding accusatory.
Yeah.
So instead of saying, you guys left me out,
Which immediately puts people on the defensive.
immediately everybody's like, oh, no, we didn't mean to.
Right.
We're sorry,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Which is not a real conversation.
Totally.
So instead of that, try something like, I felt hurt and a bit confused when I realized there was a group chat without me. So it's keeping the focus on your experience.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So communicating honestly is a great first step.
Absolutely.
But what if that conversation like doesn't totally fix everything?
Right.
What if there's still some awkwardness?
Yeah. What are our other options here?
Yeah. What else can we do?
So that's where the next tip comes in,
Okay.
which is make new connections.
Okay.
And so even if things don't get totally resolved with this particular group of friends,
Right.
it's important to remember that your social life isn't limited to them.
Yeah. I love that. It's like
Yeah.
expanding your horizons instead of feeling trapped by this one situation.
Absolutely. And it's about like taking back your power, realizing you have options.
I love that.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe this is an opportunity to explore some new hobbies
Yep.
or join some clubs and activities that align with your interests.
I'm thinking like a pottery class
Pottery class, perfect.
or a book club
Book club, love it.
or like a hiking group.
Hiking group, yes. Like there's so many things
Endless possibility
that you can do.
to connect with people who share your passions.
Yeah. And it's
You might even discover a new passion.
exactly. And, this reminds me of when I joined that pottery class a few years ago.
Oh, yeah.
I was feeling so socially isolated at the time.
Yeah.
And that class introduced me to like a whole new group of amazing creative people who I still hang out with today.
There you go.
Yeah, so it's like, you never know
You never know.
what good things
What good can come
can come from something that feels kind of negative.
out of a seemingly negative situation.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
Okay, so we've talked about communicating honestly. We've talked about making new connections.
Right.
What's the last piece of advice from our sources?
The last piece of advice is assess the friendship.
Ooh, this is where it gets juicy.
This is where it gets real.
Yeah.
Because it's not just about making new friends.
Right.
It's also about taking a good hard look.
An honest look. An honest look at your existing relationships.
At what's already there.
Yeah. And so this step encourages you to reflect on the overall health and mutuality of the friendship.
Okay.
So, are these friends consistently supportive?
Yeah.
Do you feel valued and respected in this dynamic?
Like checking in with yourself.
Yeah. Like, how do you actually feel
Yeah.
in this friendship?
Yeah. Are your needs being met?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes it can be tough to admit,
Oh, yeah.
but friendships evolve.
Yeah.
Sometimes they run their course.
Sometimes people grow apart.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it's okay to recognize when a certain dynamic might not be serving you anymore.
It's not about placing blame. It's just about, what feels good.
It's about recognizing what's truly best for your own well-being.
Yeah. And sometimes that means moving on.
Sometimes it means moving on.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Totally.
Growth is a beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful thing.
Oh.
Okay. So just to recap our deep dive today.
Yeah, let's
We
recap.
explored those 3 key strategies.
Yeah. 3 key strategies.
For dealing with feeling left out.
When your friends start a new group chat without you.
Yeah. So what were those 3 things again?
Number 1, communicate honestly.
Yes.
Number 2, make new connections.
Yes.
And number 3, assess the friendship.
So good.
There you have it.
Love it. And just to leave you with a final thought.
Yes, final thought.
What are some small steps you can take today
Okay.
to either address the situation with your current friends
Yeah.
or explore those exciting new connections?
Ooh, exciting new connections.
Yeah.
The possibilities are endless.
Endless. The power to create positive change in your social life is in your hands.
It really is.
You got this.
You got this.
Awesome. Thanks for deep diving with us.
It's been a pleasure as always.
Yeah. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.